Hi, is anyone here? I was just starting up. I am gonna share my screen in the meanwhile. Give it a couple of minutes. Hi, Beverly. I'll send you the other link after this. I was just a little late getting here today. So I'll send you the link for the following session as well after this session, okay? Hi, Beverly. Okay. Give me 1 second. I am trying to get my screen set up. We've got a couple of minutes here till people join in case anyone's coming. Great. Thanks, Beverly. Okay, this is really weird. I figured I'd get on and so bizarre. Why is it not letting me? It's letting me share my whole screen. I tested this before we started, but okay, now you're seeing my whole screen. Beverly, can you see me? Since we've got 1 minute, I'm still asking you. Can you see me on the screen? I think so. Looks messy though. Thanks, Beverly. I'm trying to share only. Oh, there we go. Okay, great. Okay, now you can see my screen and the chart. Right. Okay. Okay, so it's 1:30. I mean, I might as well just start. If anyone joins later, they can watch this later. But I just wanted to start with this. So, welcome everyone. Welcome to Cosmic Diaries. This is Priya Kali, your astrologer, and my glasses are broken. But welcome to Cancer season. The sun is now newly reached the solstice, and we're entering a whole new season. And Jupiter is in Cancer, and we're moving to the Cancer new moon on the 25th of June. So this cancer season, above other than any other cancer season, is going to be quite a memorable one we likely won't forget. And this is because Uranus is going to change signs in the next few weeks on the 7th of July and enter Gemini for the first time in 84 years. So unless you're older than 84 or 84, you haven't experienced this transit, and we haven't experienced this transit in our lifetime. And this is going to be a huge shift. So I'm going to dive into, the aspects for this season and give us an overview for Cancer season. And then, so this session will last about half an hour. And then if anybody wants to join, they can join the extended session where we'll be diving deeper into the Uranus and Gemini transit, as well as the new moon and the full moon charts. I mean, I'll touch on, the highlights of Cancer season now, but we'll look deeper into the new moon and full moon charts in the extended, as well as the Uranus and Gemini transit. We'll look at an overview, and then I'll dive into the horoscopes for the 12 signs. And then if anyone has questions, of course, If you have your charts, please feel free to bring them. I'll be taking question and answers. So, with that said, I'm going to dive into Cancer. And of course, just one more thing. I am also, this is, of course, live session, but I also work one on one with clients for individual consultations. And for a deeper dive into your natal chart, I'm working with clients ongoing monthly for, I call it the inner journey package, but you can also sign up for that and pay as you go and do the monthly sessions with me. I'll leave details below, or you can find all the information at my website at cosmicdiaries.com, or you can email me at priya@cosmicdiaries.com, and I'd love to, answer any questions, maybe offer you a complimentary 30-minute consultation and give you an introduction to the program. So that's inner journey and working with consultations if you're interested. But now let me just dive into Cancer season. So just starting with Cancer. Cancer, as you may know, is a water sign. It's a cardinal sign. And what that means is cardinal signs initiate things. It's the beginning of a season. Here in the northern hemisphere, we're starting summer. In the southern hemisphere, this is the beginning of winter. And here now at the solstice, the sun has reached a peak before it returns to, we have equal days and nights with the equinox. So similarly, every time, during Cancer season, at least in the northern hemisphere, it's, situations have reached a peak. And Cancer being a water sign, it deals with our emotions, our needs, all our needs, emotionally, materially, financially, spiritually, physically, for our body. Cancer is rules the ocean. So the tides, it's ruled by the moon. And we know that the moon affects the tides. And we ourselves are made up of what our human bodies are made up of 70% water. And so Cancer rules all our emotions. And we're very, especially during Cancer season, we're all feeling very sensitive and we're feeling all the feelings right now. It's important that we allow ourselves to feel what we feel. The important things that we recognize that not all feelings are, feelings will pass through and wash through. We don't have to act on everything we feel. It's okay to feel it, but the wisdom to whether or not to act on something, that's important now, especially because we've got Jupiter in Cancer this year. And Jupiter is, first of all, exalted in Cancer, which means the highest qualities of Jupiter are magnified in this sign. And Cancer, being that it's a very emotional sign, water sign, you know, at best, this is a time when we can grow in empathy and understanding and deepen our connections and bonds with others. Cancer also deals with matters of home and family, and again, our sense of security on all levels. It deals with matters of mothers and children. So, this is also a time when, you know, it would help to reflect on your bond with your mother, whatever that was like, because it's a formative bond in each of our lives. And Cancer season really highlights, you know, how our relationship is with our needs, and and this very often will come from whether or not our needs were met when we were children. So at best, we grew up in safe, comfortable homes with loving parents, and our material and emotional needs were all taken care of. But not all of us are that fortunate. So whatever the past was like, child, hi, so good to see you. No name, I don't know who that is, but hi. Um, so it's important that now, especially as we enter Cancer season and at the time of the solstice, this is a chance for deep reflection on our life. Cancer also deals with themes of the past, and there could be huge waves of nostalgia that are sweeping through now. It Again, there are deep with the sun moving to a conjunction with Jupiter. Jupiter is a planet, it's the great benefic in astrology. And Jupiter's presence will magnify things. So it's like we're getting a huge, the sun at the solstice with conjunct Jupiter is now illuminating this sector of our lives wherever we have Cancer in our chart. And we're becoming very aware of our needs and how we're feeling. And now, especially as we move to the new moon on the 25th of June, as the moon wanes, today the moon is moving through Taurus. So it's a great time to get grounded. The moon is exalted in Taurus and really get grounded in our values. And then, trust that time and tide will show us the way forward. As we move to the new moon, we're in a process of emptying out. So we're releasing the past, we're releasing emotional baggage, we're releasing old patterns, childhood patterns that we've outgrown. And this could get very emotional. What's important, as of even today, the sun is now square Saturn and Neptune this afternoon. I think the aspect is exact at either 1:44, literally as we speak. Let me see. Yeah, in about 10 minutes. So we're under the Sun Saturn square today. Jupiter has recently just passed a square to these planets here, and this Jupiter squared Saturn and Neptune around the 15th of June, and that's when we saw, even around the world and in the U.S. certainly, we had the protests, and this was a very pivotal moment in our collective history. And today, now, as the Sun squares Saturn and tomorrow it'll square Neptune, we're reaching an important turning point in our lives where we're being asked to take responsibility for our own needs. That's not to say that, help is not present, because none of us is an island. But the aspects are now pushing us to find inner resilience and to reflect on our boundaries in situations and on our integrity and our illusions, and to consciously release any sense of disillusionment. Even this Saturn Neptune conjunction that's underway, and in effect for the next year, and which is very much coloring this Cancer season, because as soon as the Sun and Jupiter have entered Cancer, they've met with this Saturn Neptune conjunction, marking this turning point. So it's almost like we're being asked to grow up and mature, and this will come with growing pains. We are being stretched to our limit, but there's a need now to trust in our own depth, and we're learning our own depth in situations, and we're learning, our bottom line in situations as well. So moving to the new moon, certainly this is a chance to release and empty out. Jupiter is the planet of abundance and good fortune. And again, it's the great benefic. It teaches values of kindness and generosity and gratitude and generosity of spirit. So the more we can find that within ourselves and lend a helping hand where we can, as much as we need it as well, and reach out for the help we need, we'll find that there is help and support present right now. I'm going to pull up the aspect list right now and just run through the aspects for the month as well. And while I say that, I mean, look, nothing happens in a vacuum. So first of all, we've been, now that Jupiter has newly entered Cancer, over the past year, Jupiter was in Gemini. And it's important now that we're also learning from, Saturn speaks of time and history, and even Cancer is a sign that deals with the past and even childhood matters. And Saturn is in Aries. Aries is also the sign that speaks of infancy and the beginning of time. So with these squares, we're very much, individually and collectively breaking through or turning a corner from historic patterns and even perhaps generational patterns. to decide how we want to live our lives. And there is no, if Gemini season has shown us anything, it's not a matter of right or wrong so much as, we're making choices. And the best we can do is stay aligned with an inner truth and then have faith. Jupiter teaches faith. And then have faith that the next steps will be shown to us. And that's not to say that none of us will make mistakes. If anything, we all make mistakes, but that's how we learn and grow. Both Jupiter and Saturn that are in, effect in this Cancer season, they're both teachers of the zodiac. And we've been learning some difficult lessons, and we've learned some difficult lessons. But if anything, Saturn's lessons are sent to, soften us, not to harden us and make us more harsh. And we're now growing in maturity as well as empathy, as well as a deeper understanding of our own needs, and recognizing that no one's responsible for our needs. But again, that said, we're all responsible for helping each other out because we're all a part of each other's world and we're all interconnected. So, with Uranus now at the end of Taurus, look back to your life, especially as you move through today, even, depends on when you're watching this, but I'm recording this on the 22nd of June. Uranus is now at the end of its transit in Taurus, and this began in 2018. So, one area of our lives, wherever you have Taurus in your chart, Uranus is the awakener. It's been pushing our boundaries and it's been asking us to let go of our superficial attachments, material attachments. And this superficial physical stuff that keeps us bonded and attached to this material world. That's not to say that, we all need money to live. Taurus deals with our resources and our finances and our deepest commitments and our deepest bonds. And Uranus's presence here has been, pushing our boundaries to show us what's truly valuable in a situation. It's important now that, Uranus also teaches lessons of acceptance and detachment, which is, if there's anything in your life now that's falling apart, the best thing you can do is kind of step back and remain detached and stay grounded in what is actually valuable then. Because you're really being shown that in your life right now. You're being shown the bonds, our loyalties are being tested, our relationships are being tested, the depth of our commitments is being tested. Certainly, even, especially as we move through this Cancer season, because it's a very emotional sign. We're having to break free of patterns of codependency to find, healthier interdependent connections with each other, and to deepen our bonds and bonds based in freedom rather than any sense of obligation or, expectations. So even financially, with this Uranus at the end of Taurus and Cancer dealing with our needs, our emotional needs and material needs and financial needs for security, even financially, at best, this could feel, we are now moving through the waning cycle of the moon. So it just depends on what's going on in your life and how you're feeling, if there's any, it could be financial, it could be emotional, but in any place where it feels like your boundaries are being, limits are being tested now, there's a need for faith and for patience and to allow for time to happen. We're in this waning cycle of the moon. It's like, we're sweeping away a lot of insecurities. And with astrology, really, what I can keep reading these planets and aspects till eternity, but what it really teaches us is that these planets keep moving around and these are just cycles that we keep cycling around. The real, you know, process of growth that's happening is really internal. And that's why I've, my whole thing with inner journey is, at best, especially as we move to the new moon, this is a chance to go inward and to find that inner depth and the inner connection with the divine. Jupiter represents God and divinity. And ultimately, we are pure consciousness and an aspect of that divine, which is alive within us and in everything that's in this world. So, with the Saturn Neptune conjunction and, Jupiter's Sun in Cancer, at best, this can be a deepening of empathy and an ability to deepen our connection with the entire universe around us, and then to trust that if Cancer rules the moon and the mothers and children, then we are children of that divine universe. And whatever we need, our needs will be met. It's a matter of us having that inner faith and then trusting that we have what it takes within us to turn this corner, no matter how, you know, huge a step something feels right now. Because with the Sun conjunct Jupiter, that's going to take place tomorrow. Actually, sorry, on the 24th, one day before the new moon. So there's really a sense of us having to take a great leap of faith into the unknown in one sense. And we're beginning a whole new journey over the coming year and this really marks the beginning of this Jupiter and Cancer transit. So pay attention to what's coming up around the 24th, 25th at the time of this Cancer new moon. It's really giving you an insight into the narrative of the coming year with Jupiter and Cancer and what it means for you. And at best, now this is a chance to release the past and our insecurities so we can open up to a greater wave of abundance and a greater flow of prosperity and emotional connections and deepening our bonds with others in our life, where we feel more supported with the people, in our lives on all levels. So coming to Uranus, and of course, this Cancer season, we're also entering Mercury's retrograde phase. Mercury will go retrograde on the 18th of July. So I'm going to touch on that in Leo. And Mercury enters shadow phase on the 30th. So, okay, hold on. I'm going to open up the chart for the aspects. And I don't want to keep this session too long. That's why I just decided to keep it for like 30 minutes, but I'm going to run through the aspects here and tell you what's happening. But this is Cancer season in a nutshell, where we're turning a significant corner historically. And this Cancer season will be a time when we're going to look back and see it as a time when, we turn that corner. And of course, hindsight is 2020. So for now, at least, flow with life as best as you can. Okay, let me stop sharing this, and I'm going to share my aspect window here. Does anyone have any questions? Please feel free to type any questions or anything in the chat box. I'd be happy to answer what I can. Okay. I think this is what I want to show you. Transits report. So you can see that. You can see this. Okay, so today we're on the 22nd of, today is the 22nd of June. So today, tomorrow, this is this pivotal moment with the Sun squaring Saturn and squaring Neptune. We're turning a difficult corner. We've been reflecting on our boundaries and our needs, and the illusions that we're releasing, as well as past disappointments. It's a clean sweep of the past, so we can find greater depth and resilience within ourselves. And the thing with turning a corner, it's like You don't know what's around the corner until you turn it. But and that requires that faith that, okay, whatever comes next, I have what it takes to rise to the occasion. And your whole life has brought you to this moment, so you have to have faith in that. And the Sun conjunct Jupiter on the 24th, that is, I mean, Mercury square Chiron on the 24th as well. So there's deep realizations coming through. And the Sun conjunct Jupiter can, it's considered to be the luckiest day of the year. So whatever is happening in your life, whatever your emotions you're going through, be grateful. Be grateful for all your lessons, for all your gifts, for everything that life has taught you. Gratitude can be one of the most powerful practices you can have at this time. And this is the waning cycle of the moon. So, release your emotions consciously. Because then on the 25th, as the new moon aligns, this is a renewal. And now this is opening the door to a new chapter, a new journey. And there's a new wave of optimism at best that's coming through. Cancer is also a very intuitive sign. So trust your intuition at this time, because in the aspects coming up in the days following, on the 26th, Mercury sextiles Uranus. And there could be serendipitous encounters, sudden insights, sudden conversations that are showing you that there's more potential in a situation, or giving you just the information that you've been waiting for, or unexpected news that suddenly opens new doors and shows you new ways forward. On the same day, the sun is sextile Mars. So there's a real sense of us, you know, at least being able to connect the dots and start to make plans or take steps in the right direction. Pay attention to the seeds that you're nurturing as well. What we feed will grow. So we're in a new cycle now, and this is no time to be dwelling on the past and any past resentments or hurts and pains. Avoid being overly critical in situations and look for constructive solutions, and you're going to find them, and you'll find a way to navigate forward. By the 26th, Mercury enters Leo, and then 27, 28, 29th, Mercury will trine Saturn, Neptune, and then oppose Pluto. So this is intense. Once Mercury enters Leo, currently Mercury is in Cancer. So when it comes to our communication, the Sun is in Cancer, Jupiter is in Cancer, Mercury is in Cancer. And yeah, we're feeling all the emotions, and it may not be easy to even verbalize all our emotions. So it definitely till Mercury enters Leo, non-verbal communication is just as significant. I mean, even after, but especially while Mercury is in Cancer, pay attention to your intuition. You know, once Mercury enters Leo, we'll probably have more courage to say what we really mean, and not that we're not saying it right now, but it may be harder to find the words right now. Once Mercury enters Leo, there's a sense of feeling more courageous and being able to express our desires more honestly and confidently, and more importantly, to get on the same page with ourselves even. And there's a real sense of stabilizing that's coming through, in terms of us finding stability in terms of direction, of the direction that we want to go in. The 29th, Mercury will oppose Pluto. So this feels intense, but if anything's a power struggle, this is a chance to let go of the things that you can't control and focus on, what your where you're focusing your attention and mind, because this is a very powerful transformational aspect. And we're letting go of old perceptions that hold us back. Uh, and with Mercury opposite Pluto, there could be revelations coming through and deep insights coming through. Be honest with yourself at least, and avoid trying to manipulate or control any information. Just be honest with yourself and pay attention to what's coming through, certainly. because a few days later now, we're really, the energy starts to ramp up. On the 30th of June, Mercury will enter shadow phase. So again, whatever comes up on the 29th, it's like the deep, our perceptions are evolving. There's a need to evolve our perceptions, and there are deep truths coming to light out of the shadows. And then Mercury enters shadow phase. So anytime Mercury enters shadow phase, which happens, I mean, Mercury goes retrograde 3 times a year. And we all know Mercury deals with communication, and there can be communication issues that crop up, which is not necessary. There's nothing to be afraid of. Mercury rules the mind, and it's just a time to be more mindful, especially with Mercury in Leo. And Cancer is a sign that deals with nostalgia and the past and our childhood and old memories. So with Mercury in Leo, the there's a need to be present, because the mind very often is in the past or the future. It's rarely in the present. But with Mercury in Leo, we're getting a little help from the universe to stay focused, stay in the present, and take things a day at a time, a moment at a time, even. So pay attention to the conversations you're having around the 30th, because once Mercury enters shadow and then it'll station retrograde on the 18th of July, that period between the 30th of June and the 18th of July, conversations that we're having, and situations that we're dealing with, we're going to be revisiting 2 more times while Mercury is retrograde and then direct again. So about till mid August. Hold on, I'll tell you exactly when. Right. So 11th August, Mercury enters shadow on the 30th of June, goes retrograde on the 18th of July, and then goes direct again on the 11th of August. And then it will leave shadow by the end of August. I'll give you that date later. So essentially, things that conversations that we start to have in at the end of June are going to carry us forward well until the end of August. So it's important that we take things slow and we recognize that we don't have all the information. Leo at best rules the heart. And on the shadow side, Leo can also rule the ego. So when it comes to our communication, as long as we can keep an open heart and stay connected with our own sense of empathy and our own emotions, it'll be easier to connect with others and have sensitive conversations and important conversations. And there are very important conversations that are due, and there's information that we need to learn so we can make choices moving ahead. And we don't have all the information. So mainly, it's just a matter of keeping an open mind and being willing to listen and speak from the heart. And this is extremely important because on the 4th of July, which is, of course, Independence Day here in the US, but Venus conjuncts Uranus. And this is the equivalent of, emotional fireworks. At best, this aspect can be liberating. So, but Uranus will bring the unexpected. So we are reaching a breakthrough. And as much as Uranus deals with the unexpected by this point, with Uranus at the end of Taurus, we all know what this running thread is in our life, that one unpredictable situation that's been pushing our boundaries. It's we're reaching another level of breakthrough here. And this is huge because, so pay attention to what's going on in your relationships around the 4th of July. At best, this can be a very heart opening aspect, a very liberating aspect. And if at all anything feels like it's falling apart, be patient while the dust settles. There's a new order that's forming in our lives. And Venus, of course, deals with matters of money, love, relationships, the heart, creativity, and all these areas are in focus. There's a new order forming in our lives. So for that, there has to be a breakdown of the old. And we're at the end stages of this, breaking down the old so we can create something new and begin this new journey with Uranus in Gemini. So be patient and move slowly. And at best, this could just be, a creative burst of energy, unexpected surprises, heart opening surprises. I'm an optimist, so I'll always, look at the best. But even again, even if something happens that is unexpected, be patient because you're about to learn what's truly valuable in a situation and how much more there is to a situation. Because Venus will enter Gemini on the 4th, immediately after the aspect. And then Uranus, that's the big one, enters Gemini on the 7th of July. And this is, pay attention to what comes up on the 7th of July. I'm going to dive more into Uranus and Gemini in the extended section. So please join me there. That starts at 2:30. The link is at Substack. But I'm going to touch on this. I'm going to wrap this up really quickly. Uranus is the awakener, and this energy is electric. And Gemini, in a nutshell, this is the sign of communication, information, the mind. And over the past year, we've had Jupiter in Gemini. So, and we've just come out of a Gemini season. So look at the lessons that you've learned over the past year, especially when it comes to communication and your own mind, and how to not go to extremes and to realize that truth is not black or white. With Gemini, the best that we can do is stay in the middle, and then we can align with a deeper truth and begin to see a deeper truth. With once Uranus enters Gemini, this energy is very cerebral and genius. So there could be, at best, this could be, genius insights and sudden ideas. And, I'm going to dive more into the transit later. But in terms of information, I mean, AI is going to move to a whole new level, and how we relate with AI and communicate with each other. And then Uranus deals with our connections and the collective. So, as AI takes on a greater presence in this world, how do we then keep our human connections alive? This is going to be, we're navigating some really uncharted territory here, especially with this being in Cancer season. And on an emotional level, at best, this feels like, I said this in a blog, it feels like a bottle of champagne that's been shaken up and the cork popping. So at best, there could be celebratory undertones to this energy. But on the other hand, it could also feel like, anything that's been under pressure now and that's been swirling and churning within us, it's like the lid is blowing off. So there are important truths that are coming to light. And it's important now that we find resolution of what we're feeling internally, so that when we communicate, we're able to communicate gently, so that our truth is illuminating and liberating and not destructive or jarring, because if this Uranus in Gemini, if mentally we're not feeling balanced, then this energy can blow very hot and cold. And any, such an outer planet, when it changes signs, it's gonna take all of us a little time to adjust to this new energy. And we're definitely going to be learning information through our conversations that comes out of the blue and is unexpected. So with Uranus, whatever you think it is, it's not that, it's something else. So the best I would say is just keep an open mind, because we're being enlightened in some way. And it's what we're learning is challenging us to go beyond our perceptions of everything we thought we knew. Then we can learn a deeper truth. And then we have the Cancer full moon on the 10th of July. This is also Guru Purnima. So this is going to be a powerful full moon and an emotional one. And Saturn goes retrograde a day later So there's very much a sense of having to reflect on our boundaries. And again, a full moon will bring a cycle to completion. So it's like, what are we leaving behind now? What's come to the surface given we're learning all these truths? What is now part of history and what are we taking forward into the future? Because Uranus will be in Gemini till the 7th of November. So we're kind of getting a glimpse into these 3 months between now and the 7th of November. It's giving us a glimpse into what comes up once Uranus re-enters Gemini, next year. And then Uranus will be in Gemini until 2033. So move in awareness with it through this Cancer season. And above all, remind yourself that you do not know it all. There is so much more that's coming to the surface, and which is really, opening our mind, asking us. And then the full moon will ask us, we're in a process of readjusting our boundaries, taking down walls, looking at where we perhaps don't need to be so guarded, where, the past is water under the bridge, what we're now releasing and letting go and letting be in the past. And then by the 18th of July, Mercury goes retrograde. So there's more truth coming to the surface, more information coming to the surface, then drawing us on a deeper journey of, learning more information. So, and then the sun will enter Leo on the 22nd of July. And that marks the beginning of a whole new season. But it's almost 2:10. Okay. So just to wrap it up, do you guys have any questions really quickly? Anything I can say? I hope this was helpful. Was I clear enough? I'd love to hear, anything you have for me. But otherwise, to wrap this up, this is expect a really emotional Cancer season. Life is shifting powerfully. There's a tsunami of tidal wave of changes that are coming through. But that's really asking us to open our mind and flow with life as best as we can, and to keep our egos in check and stay humble as much as we can. And as long as we can stay connected with our inner compass, because Jupiter, is that sense of direction, we can be guided moving ahead and take things a day at a time. So thank you everybody for being here and watching. Again, if you're watching and if you want to join me in the extended section, just go to cosmicdiaries.substack.com and find the link over there. But thanks for watching. Happy solstice, everyone, and I'll be back with you very soon. I really would love to do more videos. I'm gonna get to it. So you guys being here is encouragement. Thanks. Bye for now.